Welcome to Inside SESO, a recurring look at public safety and crime prevention issues in St. Charles Parish and information about the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office. In this edition of Inside SESO, Sheriff Greg Champagne will be here to talk about current developments within the Sheriff's Office and issues facing St. Charles Parish. We'll tell you more about a safety home inspection program offered by the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office, where deputies will conduct a free safety and security assessment of your home. We'll share a heartwarming story of a pair dealing with life struggles and how their companionship has given each other a new lease on life. And with the warm weather upon us and an increase of activities in St. Charles Parish's waterways, we'll share with you safety tips to make your outing on the water an enjoyable one. This and more coming right up.
I've always believed that good communication between the public and the Sheriff's Office plays a vital role in crime prevention. Communicating with you has been a priority of mine since I became sheriff in 1996. We intend to use this program as another way to keep you up to date about crime trends. We also, through crime mapping and our crime reporting on our website, want to tell you about every crime reported in the parish, even those that don't warrant a news release.
Across America, the law enforcement profession seems to be under attack as citizens are becoming more and more frustrated with the many social and economic challenges that plague us today. Law enforcement agencies, by the very nature of the role we provide, are the most visible and accessible service government provides, and as such, often bears the brunt of criticism. The roles of law enforcement are rooted in the Constitution and rule of law, and are necessary to provide safety and security for our communities. There's a bigger factor here at play. Be it a parent, teacher, clergy, or police officer, there's a growing lack of respect for authority. Respect for authority begins at home. It comes through the realization that it's set up to help us and not control us. Sheriff, there's a lot of challenges facing law enforcement today, and I know you get asked this question a lot, but if there was one thing in the criminal justice system that you could change in today's society, what would that be?
Well, it is a good question, Pat, and it's a question that I am commonly asked at functions that I go to. And really, it's not so much something I would change within the criminal justice system because, as you know, we're constantly working to improve the way we deliver law enforcement services to the people, as are most agencies that I know around the country. But if I had a wish, and the one thing that I really could change would be to improve the quality of parenting that goes on in our society. You know, I've had the opportunity, really a front row seat to the criminal justice system here in the parish now for over 30 years. First as a prosecutor for 14 years, and now as sheriff for nearly 20. And without a doubt, I can say that quality parenting is the biggest thing that can go to improving society and respect for law amongst our young people. And I've always said, if you show me a set of good parents, I'll generally show you a good kid. You show me some bad parents, and I'll generally show you a kid that unfortunately goes astray. It is so crucial. I think one of the problems we have in the society where, you know, and again, I'm not, you know, being critical of mothers working. I mean, you know, two parents have to work in this day and age, you know, in my family, as well as everybody else's family. I said, but unfortunately, I think there are unfortunately too many parents that rely upon institutions to really play too important a role in raising their kid. First is the school system. We have an excellent school system in St. Charles Parish. There's no doubt about it, one of the best in the state and one of the best in the country. But that's simply not enough, because without kids being taught and having the proper role models at home, and even to the point of sometimes having negative role models, very negatively impacts the future of that child. And you know, you see it all the time, and we see it all the time. It's just more parents need to raise their children properly and set good examples for them, and not depend upon the police and the school system to raise their kids. That's just, those institutions need to be good, they need to be top-notch, but proper parenting is what we see really lacking in our society today.
Yeah, obviously the school system and the parents can kind of enhance each other's message and go hand in hand and play a big part in that, without a doubt. Even in the Sheriff's Office, we have a number of programs that teach respect, that teach respect for authority, that all of those skills. We have the DARE program, a resource officer program, Explorers, Summer Camp, the GREAT program. Can you touch a little bit on those and how the Sheriff's Office plays a part in trying to guide in that direction?
Well, we do what we can to reach out to kids, and that's really important. You know, and probably our first contact with kids in this parish really is the DARE program, where they have a chance to interact with a uniformed officer. And you know, every fifth grader in both public and private schools, the few private schools we have in the parish, are involved in the DARE program. I think it's really important, and it gives that first contact, and that first impression to where our young people know that the man or woman in uniform is their friend and not their enemy. So I think that is really a big factor in why we have such a good parish and why we have such a low crime rate, because it all starts at a young age. We then, as you know, because you were, I think, one of the first resource officers, where again we reinforced that in the high schools, which we expanded during my administration to the junior highs. So now our uniform resource officers are interacting with our fifth graders, our junior high students, on up to high school graduates. I think that has a big impact. That's why I think today that our citizens respect the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office, our deputies so much because of the seeds that we have planted over the many years. We're now taking that a step further with the GREAT program, G-R-E-A-T, and basically it's an acronym for the Gang Resistant Education and Training Program. Sergeant Roanne Sampson and her assistants we've got the first pilot program, in fact, where we have graduation scheduled for a group at Luling Elementary School. And it's a pilot program, and early indications are that this is good. It's a reinforcement to DARE. It deals with a little older group than the DARE students, so it's more of a reinforcement. And GREAT kind of expands on not just so much the drug abuse and substance abuse thing, but it also goes to a key component of showing respect to receive respect. And by that, I mean, as you know, our people are bombarded with the 24-hour news cycle, with politicians who are attacking police officers unjustifiably. Not all of them, but many do. And so they see the instigators, for lack of a better term, which really preach hate of law enforcement. And you and I both know, and I think most of the people in St. Charles Parish know, that if law enforcement said tonight, we're going to take a break in the United States of America and nobody's going to patrol tonight, probably every major city in this country would burn down tonight. Not because they wanted to commit crime, but just because there are people that just seem to thrive on chaos. So GREAT is teaching kids, getting back to that, GREAT is teaching kids, when you have contact with a law enforcement officer, don't start it off with an attitude. We want to treat with respect, but we also are entitled to respect too. Law enforcement officers are people, they grow up with families, they're just like everybody else in the community. Even though they wear a uniform, we can't look at them differently. So, my message to parents, my pleading with them, is to teach your kids, if you're stopped by a law enforcement officer or approach, don't react that immediately there's some kind of hostility involved, because so many times the ultimate outcome in an encounter with a law enforcement officer is based upon the first few seconds. And whether it's a respectful encounter, yes sir, no sir, if that happens, then 99.9% of the time the encounter is going to end up in a very friendly manner with a positive outcome. But far too often, and we're seeing it more and more, that all of a sudden there's a chip on some people's shoulders that, why are you stopping me? Why are you approaching me? It's just, it's you want respect, you have to give respect. So my first message to parents would be courteous, be nice, don't have an attitude. And chances are 99.9% of the time, that encounter is going to turn out with a positive outcome for everybody involved.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And we have a number of programs. You mentioned the school system here in St. Charles Parish, all the programs we have within the department, recreation. There's so many elements here in St. Charles Parish.
And add to that, as everybody well knows, we've been sending 50, 60, 70 kids to summer camp, teenage boys, to the Boy Scout camp every summer. We're doing that again this summer. We're the only law enforcement agency in the metropolitan area that has continued that program now for a solid 20 years, and it's paying off. And when you look at the fact that we've got maybe a couple of thousand now, nearly young teenage boys who have been through that program, who spend a week with deputies in an intimate setting of all races, a really diverse group, we can't help, but that also plays a role in, I think, the success we have here and the respect that we receive from the people of this parish. I mean, these are seeds that you have to plant, and they take care, they take nurturing over a long period of time. You can't, a situation or a culture of divisiveness between law enforcement and the community, they usually are years in the making, and they're going to be years to solve them. But I think we've been taking that proactive approach for a long time, planting those positive seeds, and I believe that's why we have a lower crime rate, why we don't have the incidents that you see in other places. So it's a long-term approach. I'm proud of what we've done. I don't take credit for starting it all. I like to think that we enhanced it, during my term of office, and there are probably still more things we can do, and we're always looking for new ways to do it. And
proof that these programs are working, and we can just simply look within the department. There are a number of people that started off going to sheriff's camp, who eventually became members of our Explorer Post, who are now
Some became deputies.
deputies and detectives within this agency. So
Exactly.
obviously it's a collection of things that we do that are enhancing the quality
But
here.
they don't call the law enforcement the thin blue line for nothing. It really is the thin blue line between order and chaos. And there are so many people out there that are so anxious to spread chaos, really for the sake of chaos. And we all know those groups. That folks, we need law enforcement. I heard somebody tell me a few weeks ago that a society that does not make friends with law enforcement better make friends with its criminals.
Exactly. And without a doubt, if you look at the services we provide as law enforcement and government provides to the community, clearly law enforcement is probably the most visible of all of them. And as a result, all the frustrations that exist, we kind of take the hit for it because we are the most accessible with
Important point, we don't do everything perfectly. We make mistakes. We have to constantly reassess. We have to, in some cases, really seriously review, maybe through disciplinary actions of isolated incidents, which I believe there are with employees, and we do that too. So we're always looking to improve. We're not perfect, and I don't mean to say that by any stretch of the imagination. You know, we're human beings like everybody else. We have bad days. I have bad days. There are days when I say, well, you know, maybe I could have handled that situation a little better than I did. Everybody has those. So, but we have a process where we review it. We've instituted a new leadership and ethics program. One of the pilot agencies in the country, Dr. Javidi, who has been on your program already. I believe that program is paying dividends with our people. I think morale is up. You know, we require that as a prerequisite to promotions in the agency, and I can personally see, I believe that is paying off in dividends, that leadership and ethics program. So we're always looking to be better. We always can be better. We're going to make mistakes, but the point is, do you learn from those mistakes and do you improve on them? And I think we are.
Okay. Sheriff, I'm going to change directions a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about, we got some excitement coming down at the end of June this year. As many people know, you will be sworn in as president of the National Sheriff's Association. Quite an honor, representing all of the sheriffs across America. And talk a little bit about how this journey has brought you here and what you see for the future of the Sheriff's Association under your leadership.
Well, you know, it's really one of those things that happened. You know, I attended my first National Sheriff's Association meeting way back, you know, right the year after I assumed office. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and a lot of things that I've been able to bring back to the agency, I really learned at National Sheriff's Association conferences, you know, new things, you know, always looking to expand, do things out of the box, you know, and then at some point, Sheriff Ken Goss in Louisiana was on the board. He retired and says, you know, he said, why don't you consider running for the board of the NSA? So back in 2003, okay, I ran for the board with no really ambition of doing anything more than serving on the board, you know, being able to really, I was, from a selfish standpoint, looking to gain more information that I could bring back here. And that happened. And then at some point in time, a vacancy came in the chain of executive officers. We have 7 executive officers. And so I decided to run for Sergeant at Arms. And it's a progression of being elected to each officer position every year. And now, you know, next thing you know, here it is in our annual conference in June. I will be sworn in as president. I want everybody to understand that the president of the NSA is a big responsibility. It's going to involve even more work, but I couldn't do it without a great staff here. From the chief deputy, staff members like you on down, who I know can handle this office. I will not be gone. This is not a job. It's not. I'm not resigning as sheriff, anything like that. I've heard those rumors. This is a position with an association, a nonprofit association. It's no pay involved. There's more work involved. I think it can only enrich us because now I will have the opportunity to, I think, learn even more. And what I do learn, I bring back. So it will involve some travel. I will be honored to be able to represent the sheriffs of America, maybe before congressional hearings, before other state associations. So I will be out of town a little bit more, but unfortunately, cell phones are in our pockets 24 hours a day, so I'm never more than a phone call away from being able to take care of local business. So I don't think the people will really notice you know, my absence, which I will probably be going a few days a month, but nobody has to worry. I will be in constant communication with the office, and we'll be able to handle anything that needs to be handled. I'll be here the vast majority of the time, but I will be busy. I look forward to this responsibility. It's going to be a lot more work, and it already has kind of started, but I will not lose sight of the fact that my primary job is to protect the people and property of St. Charles Parish.
And this is a one-year term, correct?
It's 1 year, and most of the traveling will probably be here from June until probably October, November this year, and then somewhat in the spring of 2017. And so in June of 2017, a year from then, I will be, an ex-president and, certainly back here trying to do things to improve the quality of life and our efforts here.
Well, great, and congratulations.
Thank you.
What an honor for you personally and also for St. Charles Parish to have the President of the National Sheriff's Association here from St. Charles Parish. Thank you.
Thank you. Our detectives need your help in investigating the murder of Sidney A. Holmes II. Mr. Holmes is a black male, 42 years old. This murder occurred on November 19, 2015 at approximately 6:40 p.m. in the 200 block of Smith Street in Hahnville, Louisiana. Sidney Holmes was known in the area as Rastaman and was well liked in the community. He was originally from New Orleans but recently living in Baton Rouge with his wife and children. Mr. Holmes sustained multiple gunshot wounds which led to his death. We are asking anyone with information to please come forward and contact us. If you have information, you can call Detective Chris Baird at 783-1135, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 1-877-903-STOP. You may be eligible for a cash reward.
St. Charles Parish Sheriff Greg Champagne is pleased to announce the creation of a home inspection program, also known as HIP. This is a voluntary service that provides a free home safety and crime prevention inspection to identify features within your home which might make your residents susceptible to either burglaries, fires, or injuries due to falls. Often we don't recognize the potential hazards within our own confines of our home. Having someone else independently inspect your property provides a greater insight into the minimizing of potential risk. These inspections will be conducted by Sheriff's Office personnel and firefighters from the local fire departments. The inspection team will provide the homeowner or occupants with recommendations that could be taken to remove or reduce potential hazards. With us today is Lieutenant Craig P.T., who is also a fire chief for the Luling Volunteer Fire Department, and Corporal James Grimaldi, Community Outreach Officer for St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office. Let's take us through just a typical home inspection. What do you look for? What are the type of things?
Well, sir, we're going to have a checklist. Basically, a checklist will have things such as what type of doors, what type of windows, what type of locks you have on your residence, type of lighting, or other things that could aid in securing your residence and prevent criminals from wanting to target your home.
Okay, and it's also outside too, shrubbery, landscaping, things of that nature as well.
Yes, sir. We don't want to have blind spots or anything where criminals could hide or easily access your house without neighbors or passing patrol vehicles or anyone able to see them.
And a lot of it's just common sense things, not necessarily things that cost a lot of money, just some things that you maybe do a little different in your home, correct?
Yes, sir. A lot of it is just minor things that you could change on your own without having any type of professional or any type of major expenses acquired.
All right, Lieutenant P.T., on the fire side, you're also the fire chief of the Luling Volunteer Fire Department. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things that yourself or others with the fire departments, local fire departments in the areas where we do these inspections would be looking for.
One thing we'd be concerned about is if you have smoke detectors and carbon monoxide alarms, if they're updated, if the batteries has been changed, we would check and look at the fire extinguishers. Some of these only have a 10-year extended life on them and need to be replaced. We'd continue throughout the home and look for how you use extension cords if they're being improperly used. We'd also look at your dryer. We have a lot of issues with dryer fires because the lint builds up in the ductwork and some people pile a lot of clothes or chemicals in that area. And just for safety hazards, as far as tripping, things like that, especially for the elderly.
Okay, so just basically a list that you go through and just go through a checklist. When it's finished, then you make these recommendations on how they can improve things with their homes. What is their requirements to that?
The homeowners have no requirement. What we'll do is review the list with them and tell them the things that we found that may need improvement. And if we could find, like smoke detectors, State Fire Marshal has a program where they'll actually give out smoke detectors, and we'll hook them up with people that can help them in that area. If not, we'll just make the recommendations to them and they take it on their own after that.
Right. And if it's an elderly family, we also have a senior program that has some assistance as well with flashing lights and things that make it easier for them to call assistance, and we incorporate that into it as well. So thank you very much, and it sounds like a great program. If you are a St. Charles Parish resident and interested in having your home inspected, please contact Lieutenant Craig P.T. or Corporal James Grimaldi at 985-783-1355 to schedule your appointment, or visit our website at www.stcharlessheriff.org.
Homicide or murder is a rare crime in St. Charles Parish. However, we need your help in solving a murder which did occur on November 17, 2013 in St. Rose, Louisiana. On that evening, deputies were called to the scene where they found the lifeless body of Ramal Ellis lying on the ground behind the 5th African Baptist Church, located in the 100 block of 3rd Street in St. Rose. Ramal Ellis died from multiple gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead on the scene. He was last seen walking from Destrehan to St. Rose. Through the investigation, it was determined that Ramal was killed sometime between 8:30 p.m. and 9:17 p.m. on November 17, 2013. No motive for the murder has been established at this time. We continue to investigate and are seeking your help. If anyone has any information that can help with this investigation, we need you to please immediately contact Sergeant Jeremy Pitchford at 985-783-1135 or call Crime Stoppers 1-877-903-STOP or call our 911 center. You may be eligible to receive a cash reward.
Next, we'll share a heartwarming story of two lost souls, each coping with their own daily challenges and uncertain future. Yet once united, were able to forge a special relationship that gave each of them new purpose on life.
St. Charles 911. Tell me exactly what happened. My daughter called me on the phone. She woke up to check on her little brother because I know she said he was still up when she went to bed. He got found with the extra spare keys and went out the back door. How old is he? He's 13 and he's autistic. Okay, we're going to get someone out. Okay.
On a cold, dark night in March, St. Charles Parish Sheriff's deputies were called by a frantic mother who could not find her 13-year-old son. At 10:30 that night, Joshua went to bed, and an hour later, he was nowhere to be found.
524 Hanville, you can show me on scene looking for the missing juvenile.
Most of the time, I'm able to find him. A few times, I did have to call on the police hour to help me find him. Josh is a very fast walker. He treks a lot of ground.
There was a sense of urgency in the search that night. At the age of 7, Joshua was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Deputies knew that this would present unique challenges in finding him. When he wasn't immediately found, Detective Laurent knew that she needed to expand the search.
It was getting really late. It was kind of cool outside. I knew that he only had on pajamas, Crocs, and like a little muscle shirt. So I knew he was going to be cold. I knew the mosquitoes were going to be out. So I knew time was of the essence, and I knew we had to do more than just look around on foot. And it was at that point where I notified dispatch to contact our K-9 division.
K-9 officers joined in the search. They were able to track Joshua through the woods and onto the railroad tracks.
Our big concern was the pond that's directly behind his house in the wooded area, that he could get into the swamp and get lost in the swamp.
We knew he was going to be cold. We knew the mosquitoes, because we live in South Louisiana, that would take a toll on him, and then we were concerned that he had maybe gotten lost and turned around.
Last time he had ran away, he ran towards 3127, 3160 area, and he had cut through the cane fields over there, so I had deputies set up over there. Deputy Abear got with Hahnville's fire department and got their thermal imaging. Him and Deputy Regis canvassed the home place plantation and the cane fields over there.
Nearly 6 hours after leaving his house, Joshua was located several miles away from his home.
He was sitting at the side of River Road at the front of Avalon Place, kind of hunched down by a ditch. And with his observation, he seen the child sitting there, so he stopped. And from the experience that we had from meeting with the mom, that he was not a kid that you would approach directly. He was probably cold and that he was scared, so he called for us to bring the mother over there, and that's when we brought Mom to the scene, and he was able to reunite with his mom.
To calm Joshua, deputies introduced him to one of the sheriff's office's tracking dogs, Freckles.
We rescued Freckles out of the pound, and he's a cadaver dog and a narcotics dog, but he does all of our demos, all our school demos and things like that. He's really, really good with the kids. And that's one of the main reasons that we had him out that night. Is Freckles, where our patrol dogs actually track, Freckles will do a big area where he'll get out and run around and pick up a scent. And if he locates the kid, he'll stay there with him. So that's the main reason we had brought Freckles out that night.
The next day, Sergeant Patterson met with Joshua's mother, Shakita. After seeing Joshua's reaction with Freckles, they knew that getting a dog for Joshua might keep him at home.
So we allowed Joshua to engage Freckles that morning after he was recovered, and it was a positive influence. We could see that he took well to the dog. It seemed like he was interested, yet he was shielded. He did guard himself a little bit, but at the end he was petting the dog, and when we put him back in the car, he was sitting there and he was very excited to know that we were considering, possibly looking for him a pet.
Lieutenant Guidry met with staff at the St. Charles Parish Animal Shelter. The staff has experience and training in matching special children with special pets. Together, they evaluated dogs that might be compatible with Joshua. Dr. Gina Troxler with the St. Charles Parish Animal Shelter.
For a child who may not be as patient or might be busier than another child or non-vocal even, and we have matched these animals before simply with behavior testing. We have one person here that has a special focus in our area on testing animals for certain behavior traits. And do they like children? Are they patient? And often we can find the right dog for a family, whether big or small, and they don't even need to go through any special training to be a companion animal. All they need is the correct personality.
Lieutenant Guidry and the staff of the St. Charles Parish Animal Shelter found the perfect dog with the perfect personality, a rescue named Yellow.
When Yellow approaches you, he almost cowers down to you, but it's not a cower as he's scared of you. When he approaches somebody new, he actually goes down on his front feet and kind of crawls up to you. And until you bend down and pet him, he stays down, which worked out perfect for Joshua, because when he got to Joshua's feet, he just kind of stood there and looked at him and started talking to him. Then he reached down and pet him, and once the dog got comfortable with him, the dog sat up, and they seemed to hit it off right away.
Since Yella and Joshua have bonded, Yella has resulted in positive changes in Joshua's life.
He's not running away. Go ahead, I'm right behind you. He's willing to go to school. At times he didn't want to go to school. He always said he didn't want to go to school. He willing to go to school. When Josh get out of school, him and my daughter, they go for a walk, and Josh holds the leash while Yella walk in front of him.
Pet adoption has changed many lives. Perhaps yours could be the next heartwarming story. To learn more about pet adoption, visit the St. Charles Parish Animal Shelter's website. About 1 in 68 children have been identified with autism spectrum disorder. To learn more about autism, visit autismspeaks.org. St. Charles Parish residents love the water, and our access to it draws visitors from throughout the region. But we at the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office want you to return to the dock safely. In order to protect everyone, deputies will enforce all safety laws on the waterways. First and most importantly, everyone on your vessel should wear personal flotation devices when the vessel is underway. It is the single most important safety measure that you can take while on the water. All PFDs should be in good condition and the correct size for the person who is wearing them. It is just as important that boat operators remain sober at all times. The penalties for operating a boat while intoxicated are the same as a drunk driver on our highways. Even a beer or two can cause you to be impaired. Obey operating rules for boaters. A boat operator can be held criminally and civilly liable for damages caused by the failure to obey these rules. The operating rules require boaters to maintain a proper lookout. This includes being watchful for other boaters, hazards, wake zones, and navigational markers. Ignorance is no excuse. Observe no wake zones at all times. Boat wakes can cause damage to private property and endanger the lives of other boaters. When traveling through a no-wake zone, boaters must operate at an idle speed. Even in waters that are not posted as wake zones, a boater is still responsible for his wake, such as when passing docks or occupied vessels. The operating rules require boaters to maintain proper lookout. This includes being watchful for other boaters, hazards, wake zones, and navigational markers. Prepare your boat beforehand. Check your battery. Clean and fill your fuel tank. Make sure that your safety gear is on board and that your vessel's lights and bilge pump are working properly. Also, make sure that your trailer is in good shape and test run your engine before launching. If things go wrong, a flare gun, a whistle, a spare set of keys, a VHF radio can help you get back to the dock safely. Remember, cell phones don't always work on water. Another important safety measure is to file a float plan with a trusted person before leaving the dock. There is a form on the Sheriff's Office website that can be filled out either by computer or by hand. Just type float plan in the search box. Taking these basic precautions will enable you to enjoy your day on the water and give your family peace of mind.
Are you ready to make the move to a progressive law enforcement agency? The St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office is hiring. St. Charles Parish is a suburban community with a highly rated public school system, a low crime rate, plentiful outdoor recreation, and easy access to everything the New Orleans area has to offer. The St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office, which protects a vibrant and prosperous community, is looking for qualified applicants to join our team. Just 20 miles west of New Orleans, the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office meets the challenges of protecting a busy Mississippi River port, as well as a parish population of 53,000. Our neighborhoods range from 200-year-old communities to new subdivisions, and while we cherish our traditions, we are looking towards the future. The Sheriff's Office is the parish's only law enforcement agency. With a force of nearly 400, we provide a comprehensive array of services that gives us the ability to not only solve crime, but to help prevent them by a focus on community outreach and engagement. We are looking for qualified, driven, and motivated deputies to join our team. Throughout a deputy's career, we will train qualified recruits in our regional post academy, one of only 27 in Louisiana. All post-certified deputies receive annual in-service training to ensure that they remain at the highest training level. Officers participate in in-house classes, including active shooter response, use of force, legal updates, and defensive tactics, as well as leadership and ethics training. Our seamless communications network ensures that officers have all the information they need to solve a crime. Our culture prioritizes communication between all parts of the Sheriff's Office, ensuring that responding officers have the information and resources needed. Deputies today pull away from roll call meetings in a police cruiser linked to a virtual world of comprehensive real-time information. The trunks of their patrol units are loaded with investigative tools that helps locate and properly collect even the slightest particle of evidence. Benefits include employer-paid health, life, and vision insurance with optional dependent coverage. Long-term disability coverage is also available. There also is a generous retirement from the Louisiana Sheriff's Pension System. The minimum requirements for hire are 18 years of age, 21 for patrol, high school diploma or GED, clean criminal background, no history of illegal drug use in the past 24 months, resident of Louisiana. To apply, visit our website, www.stcharlessheriff.org, or call Miss Lori Meckham at 985-783-6237, extension 2016.
Thank you for joining Inside SCSO. We hope you found this program informative. Future episodes will be produced on a regular basis and made available through the St. Charles Parish Government Access channels, online through our website, and through social media. Thank you for watching, and have a safe day.